everybody, it is Calxiyn here. If you enjoy this video, you should become a patron over on Patreon. We got a $1 tier, a $5 tier, we got lots of tiers. You can pick whatever one you want. And you'll be supporting the channel while getting everything a week early. That is what early access is. And so, today we are talking about the theory that Sun is in the White Fang. So you guys may or may not know this, but this is a theory I've actually had since almost the beginning of RWBY, and that I've had for basically forever, since I started watching the show.
Because I think you have, like, an immediate suspicion of heterosexual men.
No, that's not right. So you guys may be like, Cal, like, I've seen this. No, I came up with it first, okay? I did not read about this anywhere else. This is totally from my own mind. I pieced the evidence together all alone. No one helped me. I'm being completely honest. Like, this is the first thing I thought of when watching the show. I don't know whose fault that is, you know what I mean? Anyways, so let's get into it. So here's why, okay? So, Sun like, the first thing that Sun does, right, is that, when first he's a stowaway on a ship, okay? And so, maybe, like, he could have gone with, like, his friends and everything, and he probably could have also paid, because, like, I'm sure that the school would have paid for transport to get, but no, like, he has to sneak onto a boat to get in somehow, and so I don't know if they have, like, airports in Remnant, but maybe he's, like, a wanted White Fang person, because it seems weird for him just to stow away like that on ships all the time, you know what I mean? Especially when the rest of his team got here without doing that, so that's just my first thing.
Well, because I thought the whole idea was that he was sort of a freeloader, like that was part of his personality.
Well, he still could have freeloaded off the academy, though. I'm sure they didn't need to pay their own travel, because how did Neptune and the rest of his team get there, you know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
And so that's just kind of my idea for, like, first, like, that's kind of suspicious, Sun, not gonna lie. Then my other thing was immediately when Blake, talked about the White Fang, she was like, yeah, what faunus doesn't know them? Like, huh, bunch of pussies. That's not what he said.
Yeah.
But for him to kind of have that reaction, it almost sounds like, White Fang, yeah, I hate the White Fang. Like, that just seems so guilty, don't you think? Like, oh yeah, those bad White Fang, I'm not part of them, no, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice, guys, so I don't know what voice that was. But you guys know what I mean, right?
Sounds like my Glinda voice.
I know, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like, it's just
a little on the nose.
It's a little suspicious, you know what I mean? Because when somebody says to me, like, have you ever heard of ISIS? I'm not like, oh yeah, ISIS, everybody knows
I'm not
them.
a member
like,
of
I'm
ISIS.
not in there, you know what I mean? Like, nobody says that, you know what I mean? Like, nobody would say that unless you have a really guilty conscience and you're really, really guilty.
I mean, but if someone said, like, give me your opinion of ISIS, I'm like, I don't think they're very nicest. You would not be like, oh,
yeah, that's different because you asked, but she just asked if they knew of them, not what he thought of them, right?
I guess so.
And so his first reaction having to be like, oh yeah, them, you know what I mean? It's almost like if somebody was like, hey, I guess, hey Cal, like, are you gay? I'd be like, no, like gays. Like, no, not
the homosexuals!
Yeah, exactly, you know what I mean? And so, I feel like that's just a very adverse reaction. Or, like, you know what I mean? And so, there's that. The second thing I want to say is that Sun followed Blake to the school for some reason. Like, remember when she takes off the bow? He's just out of nowhere and he's like, I knew you'd look better without the bow. Like, how long have you been there, Sun? Because she had a fight with Weiss, went all the way back to the school, and it was daytime when they were fighting, and they were still fighting when it was nighttime. You know what I mean? And then she left in the middle of the night when Weiss was fighting with Blake about the White Fang, right? They started during the day after, like, Penny happened.
Yeah, but they ran away.
What do you mean?
Or no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they went back to the bedroom and they were still fighting in the like at night, and then like Sun just appeared outside. Like, I knew you'd like how long have you been watching this, Sun? You know? And like, it's just weird, okay? Like, because I get if you like, because he did wink at her, so you could say, oh, you know, he thought she was hot. He wanted to follow her, make sure he was like, no, that's so weird. Don't say that. It was just weird for him to be there. You know what I mean? And like, I don't think that like the teams did start coming into town, but I don't think they started moving into Beacon yet. You know what I mean? And so, even if he was moved into Beacon, why was he, like, at the statue? Because that's where Blake was. Like, that's not close to bedrooms or anything, as far as we know. You know? And so it's just weird. It's a little weird, don't you think?
A little weird.
And so, like, there's that, too. Like, I know following someone, like, when you're, like, I guess, because he was concerned, maybe he saw them fighting or whatever, but, like, just a sneak, like, I don't know, it's just creepy. It's still just creepy, okay? So that's, and people are like, well, you know, Sun never followed Blake before Volume 4, so cut him. No, he did it. He did it right there. Like, it happened right there. You know what I mean? So there's that. Also, she stayed with Sun for 2 days. Like, where did he stay? Because I thought they were living at the school, right? And so he obviously didn't move into the school yet because, like, where did she stay in their dorm? Like, was she with the other 4 boys? You know what I mean? There's just some plot errors in here. I don't think...
Plot conveniences.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because, okay, say she stayed in Sun's room for 4 days at Beacon. Like, why would she say it, like... You stayed with me 2 days and you've never said a word. Well, not really. She's still at the school. Like, she still goes to the school. She's just kind of hanging out with you, if anything.
Wasn't she not going to classes, though?
It was the weekend, I thought.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what I mean? If he was living in the campus, why would why would her staying with him, like, kind of in a secretive way be so weird, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just, that's a weird little thing that I don't think RWBY really thought about, because Cinder and Emerald and Mercury have their own room, right? Like, they've been housed by Beacon, right? So you think Sun would be housed by Beacon, and so Blake would still be on campus somewhere, right? And to me, it implied that they weren't on campus,
but
for those 2 days.
His team also wasn't there, so it could have been.
Yeah, so where were they?
That is a little
like,
odd, yeah.
did they rent a hotel? Like, did they sleep in a trash can? Like, where the fuck did they go?
Yeah, but he and Neptune are pretty good friends, unless Neptune is like a secret faunus or whatever.
Well, I'm not done.
Okay.
Well, remember, you know, I know this is still Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald, but they stuck in with their own team. I'm not saying Neptune's bad, but it wouldn't be too hard for Sun, and I'll get to why, like, in what capacity I think he's a White Fang member in a second. But you bring up a good point, and I will come back to it. So there's that. There's also that
You're burying the lead here, Cal.
He knew where the White Fang were at the docks, because he was like, oh, I heard it on the ship. There's gonna be a large dust shipment, you know what I mean? But he could have just made that up, right? Like, he could have just known where they were gonna be, and then he realized that the ship was a good excuse, and so he used that. And then he fought against the White Fang people to kind of get on their good side and everything, but it's just weird that he had that information with him. Like, I feel like the people doing, like, I don't know if it was a cargo ship, but or something, but if it was just a passenger ship that he snuck on, like, why would why would basically a ferry boat know about a large shipment of dust? Like, that doesn't seem like any of their business. And if it was a cargo ship, like...
I feel like cargo ships are what you stow away on, you know?
Yeah, but if it was a cargo ship and they weren't bringing the dust with them that day, like, doesn't it seem kind of weird? Just because, like, say there's 2 cargo companies, right? Like, they don't know what's going on in each other's cargo company, do they? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, Disney World doesn't share, like, with the Carnival, or Disney Cruise Line doesn't share, like, their information with the Carnival. You know what I mean? Like, they're 2 separate companies, you know what I mean? And those are cruise lines, I understand that, but I'm just saying in comparison, if there's 2 cargo ship companies, why would they know what each other's bringing to shore? And if they're bringing it, I don't know, it's just, it's weird. Like, because he said there's going to be a large shipment of dust coming, right? That implies that he didn't bring it. It wasn't on his ship. So, like, was the ship company bringing it? And then if it was, like, why is that ship talking about it? Like, how do they know, sort of thing? Because that seems like information you wouldn't want spreading down to some lowly, like, not stowaway, but, like, I mean, like, lowly, like people in the organization, right?
A person known for stealing things.
Like, I'm saying, like, someone that's just kind of, like, maintaining the boat. Like, why would you tell them that important information? You don't that seems classified. Like, Jacques doesn't seem like the type of person who wants everyone to know where shipments are, especially if they keep being stolen, right? And so it's weird that they would just be talking about that, but we're kind of getting a bit off what I want to talk about. So then that happened, you know, Sun's at the dance, everything's fine. Fast forward to Volume 4, he follows her on the boat, he's wearing a hood, which is, like, very, like, Corsic and Fergus, as we affectionately call him here, if you guys don't know that reference. I mean, the Tail brothers, they also wear hoods. They don't wear hoods like Sun, but they are hooded people. and stuff like that. And we haven't really seen hoods being utilized a lot in, like, I guess in RWBY in general. Like, we haven't seen somebody, like, RWBY has a hood on her cape.
I was
but
about
we
to
haven't
say
seen her, like, as somebody hooded. The only people that we've seen hooded, I think, are Summer Rose. Then I think RWBY is when she's talking to her mother, and then Corsic and other dude, right? They both wear hoods as well. And so, in my mind, the kind of hood, they've kind of had it as symbolism almost, because Summer wears it, right? And she's this kind of mystery to RWBY that RWBY doesn't really remember. And so when Summer is there and she's hooded and we don't see her face and everything, that's mystery. Like Corsic and Fergus is the same thing, right? Their hood, I think they are either constantly wearing their hoods or they take their hoods off when they talk to Gira, but it shows that even though they're shrouded in mystery almost, like those two characters, even though they look one way on the outside, under the hood it's kind of something else, right? And so Sun also would fall into that symbolism, right? And so you could just be like, he was just trying to disguise himself. But when you think of the other characters that utilize hoods, and Monty always said that costumes are very important, like the costume design and everything. And so, like, I guess Miles and Carrie don't really care about that, and so maybe the symbolism thing is gone. But if that kind of tradition has kind of continued about very carefully deciding what clothing each character is wearing, and even in our Cinder video, you can see how careful her Volume 4 outfit was picked out. And so Sun, like, hiding himself maybe isn't that big of a stretch, you know what I mean? Because he was definitely hiding himself to make sure Blake didn't see him. But I think White Fang members have this thing about disguise, right? That they wear a mask, they wear a hood, like Corsic again, and, like, they wear a hood so they're shrouded in, I guess, mystery so people don't know who they are, etc. So there's that thing. There's also following Blake, just how he interacted with Blake, and then how he saw Ilya in the marketplace. I think Ilya would have recognized if Sun was in her part of the White Fang, you know what I mean? Because it's unclear whether Ilya is directly working with Adam or not, but it seems like, because he showed Blake that, like, oh, I conveniently happened to see a girl with a White Fang mask walking through the market. Like, it's almost like if he knew that she was going to be there. Like, a lot of this kind of sums up to plot convenience, you know what I mean? So this may be RWBY being lazy, but sometimes when you're lazy, fans see things that aren't supposed to be there because of your laziness. So even if it's not true, this is your fault. You know what I mean?
Watch as I expertly direct the blame away from myself.
Well, and then you kind of have that chase scene. She's like, oh, why are they working in the White Fang? She's not even a faunus, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like the gays, like, I'm not gay, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like that again.
Why? Okay.
Like, it kind of goes back to Sun's first sort of talk about
I'm not gay! I'm not gay at all, says Sun to Blake.
Yeah.
To a very confused Blake.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And so it kind of goes back, like, every time Sun talks about the White Fang, he has to be like, White Fang, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, why does he have to talk like that? Anyway, so that's pretty much all of, I don't want to say evidence exactly, because those are just key points that I'm pointing to. Now, where does this all fit into the actual theory? You gays? You gays?
You homosexual!
You guys may be asking? Okay, so here's my idea, okay? Adam approaches Sun with a deal for money, right? Okay? Because Vacuo is a place where there is, like, a lot of poverty because Atlas came in, stole their shit, and kind of left them to rot, right? And so Vacuo has this, and even in Mistral, right, where Sun is actually going to school, there is a criminal underbelly, right? And so say, like, Sun is from Vacuo, he knows how hard it is, like, to kind of be somebody that is disadvantaged, like, his parents don't have any money because they're, like, everyone in Vacuo is just poor because of what Atlas did to them.
We get it sucks.
Like, so he's trying to do side jobs for money, right? That's kind of how I see Sun, is
and
he's
who
kind of
hasn't,
involved in illegal
when they
activity.
were strapped for tax,
Exactly, that's kind of what I'm saying.
joined a terrorist organization.
I'm not done, though. Okay, so I think, here's what I think. I don't think Sun knows he's part of the White Fang. And that's what I'm gonna get to in a second, is that here's kind of what I'm thinking. So, Sun goes into the shady-ass tavern where he usually gets his job. Sometimes it's just like, I don't want to say, I'll just say drug dealing. You know, sometimes he's selling a little bit of weed at the side or whatever he's doing.
Remnant
I don't know what
weed.
the remnant equivalency of that is, but I'm trying to use a real-world example, right? You know, because, like, weed isn't the worst drug that you could be dealing. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, he's just doing side jobs to get some money to send back to his family or whatever. Then Adam comes into the bar. He doesn't recognize Adam because Adam's not wearing the mask. And Adam says, hey, like, there's this person that I need to be followed, and I need you to keep an eye on them. It's a really easy job, and I will pay you very well. Can you do that? And then Sun's like, sure, like, whatever. You're giving me, like, I don't know, like, $500,000? Like, sure, man, I'll do whatever you want. Because obviously Adam can't follow her, right? And he doesn't want somebody necessarily in the White Fang because I think a lot of people would have liked Blake. You know what I mean? Do you want me to help you with this?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think a lot of people would have liked her, right? And so we can't just ask somebody in the White Fang to be like, hey, like, can you go chase down Blake? Because they'd be like, no, like, I actually liked Blake. I know she's not with us anymore, but, you know, like, I actually liked her. I thought she was a decent person. You know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of people in the White Fang would be against actually hurting her, similar to Ilya, because she was a big part of the White Fang, especially from her childhood, right? So a lot of people would have probably known her. So Adam just, you know, he can't just go up to anybody and be like, hey, can you go kill Blake? And he can't even ask somebody that's new because maybe he doesn't trust that person to actually go do it, right? So instead, he goes to that bar. He says, okay, look, I have some money, maybe from the deal with Cinder even. Can you go follow this girl? All right, she's in Beacon. It'll be really easy. All you gotta do is tail her for a bit. And then Sun's like, whoa, money, sure. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And so Sun tails Blake. Like, he stows away on the boat because obviously he's doing something illegal. That's why he leaves before the rest of his team comes, because he has this job. So he tells the others, Neptune doesn't like water. I'm just gonna go on a boat. Okay, don't ask why, but I need to get there a couple days early, all right? To scope out, you know. So he comes out of the boat, and then he sees, you know, he probably has a description or picture of Blake when she still had the cat ears, right? And so, in my mind, so Sun has this picture of Blake when she has the cat ears. He sees Blake, sees he's wearing the bow, winks at her, whatever. And that's why he says, you'll look better with the bow on, because, or you'll look better without the bow, because in the picture he has, it's without the bow, right? That was when she was part of the White Fang and everything like that. And so that's why Sun gets close to her and everything. He's just doing a job for Adam. Do I think he knows that he's in the White Fang? Yes and no. So here's kind of what I'm thinking, because I said,
accidentally got in Al-Qaeda. What a day!
Because I said before, he seems very suspicious, like, it seems very suspicious, like, when he's mentioning, like, the White Fang. He's like, no, not the White Fang, I'm not part of them. But here's what I think happened to Sun. So I think Sun started to put stuff together when Blake talked about how she was in the White Fang. And so at the beginning, I think his first genuine reaction was like, yeah, bunch of weirdos, if you ask me, like crazy people in a cult. Like, I think that was his first genuine reaction, right? But then, across the way, when he realized Blake was in the White Fang, I think that Sun is actually a lot smarter than he leads on, and I think that he put two and two together. I think that he realized some faunus guy asked me to come stalk this girl in a bar, and she just happens to be, you know, somebody who has left the White Fang. Like, I wonder what this could mean, you know what I mean? Like, he probably figured out that, yes, he is working with the White Fang, but he's conflicted, right? Because he doesn't know this girl, he doesn't even really like her yet, and he likes the money more. But then as the series has progressed, and he's still kind of acting weird, I think the reason why Sun is so weird in Volume 4 is because he's starting to feel, like, claustrophobic, if you want to say. Like, I think that Sun is starting to feel like he's made the wrong decision, almost. That he's actually started to like Blake romantically, as we can see. And so he doesn't just want the money anymore. Well, I feel like here's the conflict. He wants to keep the money, and so he wants to do what Adam, like, is paying him to do, but he also likes Blake. And so he wants to keep the money, but he also doesn't want Blake to find out, because when Blake finds out, like, everyone's screwed. You know what I mean? Like, if Blake finds out that I was working with Adam the whole time, and if I tell her that even if I didn't know, she won't believe me. And that's why when he sees, like, Ilya and stuff, like, that's why he kind of has that reaction. It's the same reaction when I was like, faunus, like, who? Like, I don't know any faunus.
I'm not gay. What?
Yeah. And so I think that's why he does that. I think that's why he's been acting so weird, is because he's starting to actually get caught. Like, as soon as they go back to the White Fang, Adam's gonna be like, son, come get the rest of your money. You know, you did a good job, mate. And then Blake's gonna be like, the fuck? And then Son's gonna be like, conflicted in that moment, right? Because he has to face off Adam, and then as soon as he faces off Adam, Adam is going to catch him. And so in his head, does he fight Adam and then have Blake be mad at him forever? Because even though they defeated Adam, he was against Blake this entire time. Or does he not go and help Blake and let her risk getting hurt in order to keep kind of his identity secret, to keep his money and stuff like that? You know what I mean? To make sure that Adam doesn't out him and that Blake will never know. But if Blake's not alive, her never knowing doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And so I feel...
Yeah. Dead men tell no tales.
And so I feel like, here's what I think. I think that the speech at the end of Volume 5 was almost, or at the end of Volume 4 was kind of a speech for himself in a way. Because I feel like he was almost telling himself, this is what I want. I don't want Blake to go alone anymore, you know? Like, I feel like that's kind of when he made his decision. And so I feel like it'll kind of be, like, I know this is kind of cliche, but like, yeah, I was against you at first, but then I came to like you when I decided I was on the wrong side. Like, can't you understand that? And I know that happens a lot, but I feel like RWBY can do it really well. This could be a twist without being too much of a twist, because I feel like too much of a twist is like, you know...
jarring?
Taking off Cinder's head and seeing, like, you
it
know...
was why the whole time!
Yeah, you know, like some Scooby-Doo shit, but I feel like this actually has some evidence behind it enough that it's probable. Let's just say.
Nah, I don't think it. I mean, it just seems a little.
Like,
bananas, okay. Because he's a bunkie.
That's what I think, is that I think that it's probable enough that it's not like in your face like this was gonna happen, but it's also not like it was why the whole time. And so I think that even if this theory doesn't happen, which it probably won't, because I was talking to Murder of Birds and I said this, I was just like, listen, like, how we do the theories, it's more of like an idea dump. Because all the theories can be wrong, but not all of them can be right. You know what I mean? But all of them can be wrong. Like, there could be one theory that we got right, but all of them have to be wrong because they conflict with each other. You know what I mean? And so everything we do could be wrong, and there won't be one that, like, we have right, but we can only have so many that are actually true, right? They can't all happen. And so I feel like, if anything, even if this isn't fact, it's a very interesting idea, and I would like to see where they go with it. I think that we can agree on that, Hunter, because with our theories, it's usually not like, this is gonna happen, I know it. Like, it's usually just like, this is an idea, and it's cool. You know what I mean? That's kind of just all that these are at the end of the day. It's like, this is an idea of something that could have been, or could be. It probably won't be, but it's interesting to look, like, how it could be written. And that's kind of why I love doing these ones. So what do you think about that, specifically, I guess?
Oh, I think it's... I love how you're like, now I'm gonna go and get water, because I've been talking for the past 17 minutes.
I have my water here.
I mean, it just seems a little, like, try-hardy, you know, like, we really tried, like, our hardest to just... Twists are nice or whatever, but twists are good when there's, like, an established mystery. When twists come out of nowhere,
but we still don't know Son's past, right? I don't think it's that much out of nowhere. We still don't know, like, why he did everything that he did. Like, we don't have an inner working of his mind where we see what is justified.
You're right. It would be a little jarring, but it would also kind of be like, aha, yeah, those are kind of weird.
Like,
but
yeah, that's why he was being weird the entire time.
But that's the thing, though. Like, this is like a fantasy. We expect people to act bizarrely.
Not that bizarre, though. Like, you know, following Blake both of those times, like, that's a little weird. Like, even for a fantasy world. And you have to remember that RWBY isn't, like, a fantasy world with a totally different culture. You know what I mean? Like, it still has a lot of elements from human, like, our society. And so if somebody did that to someone twice, I think in our society, we definitely call it weird. Even if it's a fantasy world, it's a fantasy world in the sense that there are monsters, not in the sense that, like, social conventions are so different here in this universe. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so, I don't know, like, I think that that's weird even for fantasy. You know what I mean? But that's just me, you know? Because I feel like unless the character is not human, at the end of the day, we'll always think that human characters work very similarly to ourselves. And whether that's right or not, I can't say, but I think most of the time the assumption is that they are like us, you know? Do you feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
And so, I don't know. Even if it's not true, and again, it probably
I've heard
won't happen, I
crazier
really
shit.
like it.
I've heard crazier shit, but few theories that you were more passionate about.
From a writing perspective,
Oh,
I really like it. That's all that I'm saying. Anyway, guys, I think that we are going to head off, so tell me whether or not you actually like this theory, whether you could see it as a thing, and, yeah. That's something. That's something. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, we will see you later. Bye-bye.